Recording. So today we're going to work on this door. What our intent right now is that the door does not have a connection to our piano board that we made originally. Okay, so the door right now is just all it's going to do is just open and close. And then on Thursday, assuming that we get all this done now, if not, that's okay. We can finish on Thursday. On Thursday, we will add in the connection to say, hey, the door is locked and it will not open unless you have keyed in multiple musical notes to the correct whatever, right, song or whatever you want to do. So I assume you already have Unreal open, and I assume you have the musical door open. If you don't, go to your content browser, content folder, blueprints, interactive actors, interactive sensors, and then your door should be there. And when we met on Thursday, we built the view of the door, and we talked about this hinge, and the hinge is being the entity that is going to allow us to swing it open and close, and that's going to be key for us today. So we do need a couple things, and you guys did it already. But what we'll do is we'll go to our components here. We're going to go to add components, or we are going to do a box trigger or a box collision. And we're going to name this, we'll name this text helper collision. So the idea of this is like when the player gets into this collision volume, that the render text will change and say, yes, I see that you're near the door, press the use key. And if they're not near the door, it says, hey, come close to the door. And then when we get to the lock part of it, it'll also say, hey, the door is, I see you're close to the door, but the door is locked. You haven't set the musical notes correctly. No, sorry, it was James, I think. James did this a different way, which again, like I was talking about, is, you can solve problems multiple ways, which is James's way is having a line trace to the door, right? So when you get close to, like, there's this laser beam, you get close to the door, the laser beam hits the door, and then we send that text message that says, hey, you're close to the door or you're not. So another thing we need is another box collision. And I'm going to actually add it to our doorknob. Actually, we'll add one to each doorknob. So we have a doorknob here. I'm going to add it to as a child of it. And this one is going to be, this would be use key doorknob collision, something like that. Or actually, we can just name it. We can just name it doorknob collision. And then actually, I should rename this to doorknob 1. And then I'm going to duplicate that guy. And I'm going to put him on the second doorknob. That and like that. So we have of course, they're not put in the right spot right now, but eventually we'll have a doorknob collision and another doorknob collision on this side so that you can open it on both sides. We may end up not doing that, not having to, but for now we'll have it as both.
Would it work if you had a collision overlapping just both sides, but one collision box?
It could work that way, and we can definitely do it that way too. The only problem I would foresee with that would be like, if I'm on this side of the door, like I need to know where the player is. So if the player is going this way, right? So what I mean by that is, if the player is attempting to go this way and the door is locked, I need to make sure that, I'm saying that, yeah, it's locked. And when the player is going this way, it should be unlocked, right? Because doors only lock one way. You should be able to unlock it on this side, right? So then it could potentially be a problem where I'm like, I don't know which side the player is on when I hit this particular collision. Versus having two collisions, I can go, it would be much easier for me to say, this collision, it's locked. This collision, it's unlocked. So that's where I'm going with it, but you can do it your way too. It's just going to be a little bit more complicated, I think. Okay, so I don't even know why I erased all that. We don't need to save it. So okay, give me a thumbs up if you guys have your collisions in, and then we'll scale them. Actually, you know what? You guys go ahead and scale them now. So our text helper 1 We obviously need it to come out and scale up this way. And then, you know, it needs to be the size of the door. I just realized that the door is just a little bit off, but that's okay. I bet I like that. And then our doorknob collision, I'm actually going to zero out. So right now, under the transform category in the details panel, I have the doorknob collision selected. And I'm just zeroing out these values. And these guys as well. And I'm also going to scale it to 1. It's going to be pretty tiny, but that's okay. You can see now it put it right onto the doorknob, and you can see how big it is. We'll have to adjust that in just a second. I'm do the same thing to the other doorknob. So 0, 0, 0. And it's because it's a child of the doorknob, right? So that's how it knows where it should be. Oops. 1, 1. Is this a problem too? Oh yeah, that's a problem. 1. Okay. So now that the doorknob collision's in the right spot, I can sort of scale it out. Looks like it's going this way. The Z is going that way. So I'm going to adjust the Z value and see what happens here. Yeah, there we go. So actually, I'll probably push it out more. We'll actually move it out more. Oops, wrong way. Looks good, something like that. And we might actually have to change that. We'll see. And then I'm gonna mimic this one. So 353.57 for the Z scale, and then this one's a -140. So I suspect this one will be 140. Cool. So what the idea is that we want the player to get look at the doorknob, and then when they look at the doorknob, they press the use key and open the door. They can't just press the doorknob. Sorry, they can't just press the door and open it. They actually have to look at the doorknob and then press the use key. I don't know if you guys have played the game Ready or Not. It's a tactical shooter game. There's other games similar to SWAT and stuff like that. They actually have multiple box collisions. So you don't need to add these box collisions. I just want to demonstrate. So they'll have another box collision that maybe is at the very bottom, like this. And it allows you to use the SWAT team's wand to look under the door, right? And then they'll have another one that's maybe right here in the middle of the door, and it allows you to open the door very slowly or something like that, right? And then they'll have one, or actually I think this allows you to kick the door, and then they'll have one at the top that maybe allows you to open the door very slowly. And then if you use the doorknob itself, it will open the door, all the way kind of thing. So, and that's how they're doing that. Okay, so compile and save. What else do we need? I'll let you guys finish that and let me know. Give me some thumbs up when you got it. Nice. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll grab our text help. Oh, we need a text helper. I'm sorry. We need to render text to say, hey, yes, doorknob is open or not. So let's we'll do add component text render. This will be helper text 1, and we're going to make it a child of the doorknob. And then we'll duplicate it. And actually, no, we won't. We'll duplicate it in a second. Helper text 1, child of the doorknob. Let's go to the details panel. We will zero out its location. So 0, 0, 0, 0 the rotation, 0, 0, 0. Fix the scale, make it 1, 1, 1, and 1. And that probably made it super tiny, but that's okay. And then we will, horizontal alignment will be centered, vertical alignment will be centered. So tiny. All right, so I'm gonna lock the scale now and we'll change it to like 5 maybe. Still a little wrong. Maybe to the 10. That looks okay. Although I think the doorknob is scaled weirdly. Oh, it is scaled weirdly. That's why this is weird. Weirdly scaled. I am actually going to I'm gonna delete this helper text and I'm gonna redo it. So I'm gonna grab another render text. Oh, actually undo. I'm gonna select the doorknob and then do a render text. And that will hopefully scale it the way I want. Let me bring this guy out. And then do like 5. Oh, it's still like weirdly scaled. It's because my doorknob is weirdly scaled. If I put my doorknob to correct scale here, oh my glob, what have I done? Uncheck this guy. We'll do 1, 1, and 1. Oh man, that's really scaled. Scale 2 is it because the door is scaled weird? Oh yeah, the door is scaled weird. That's what's wrong. Okay. Oh well, we can't adjust it, so too bad. Center text. It's just going to be weirdly scaled like that. And then what we'll do is we'll rotate it. So I'm rotating it now. And then I'll rotate it this way. And then I'm going to bring it up. And the reason I want to attach to the doorknob is because when I rotate the hinge, the text will go with it, right? I wonder. I don't know if this will actually work, but I wonder, oops, if I can get away with doing something like this. It would be cool if I could. I don't know if I can, but it would be cool if I could. And 1, 1, 1. I can do that. That's genius. Okay, let's do it. Cool. I didn't know you could do that. Today I learned. All right. So what I want you guys to do is go to your add components, scene component, and add a scene component to your components here. It doesn't matter where it is. And then you're going to take that scene component and add it to your doorknob. And then you're going to do a render text. So I'm just going to duplicate this one that I've already created, and you're going to make it a child of the scene component. And then you can position the scene component on the doorknob and scale the scene component correctly. And then the render text also needs to be zeroed out. And then should be scaled the right way. So let's change this to 5, 5, 5. Oh no, why did I do this one right? Oh, this one. Oh, I shouldn't have adjusted the scene component. That's what I did wrong. Okay, let's undo that. I'll select the doorknob, scene component. Oh, now it still has the wrong values again. It'd be cool if I could just copy this one. Can I just copy this one? Paste. Oops. Copy, paste. Why is my do it not to? There we go. Scene component. Zero you out here. I think the scale is going to be right, so that'll make this look right. I hope. This 0, 0, 0, 0. Yes. Now we can change this to 1, 1, and 1. If that doesn't work for you guys like it did for me, then that's okay. So big. Oh man. Yep. Let's scale this down. Scale you down. Equal. It doesn't look right. Whatever. It's fine. I'm just gonna crack one. One. It does not look right at all. It's so bad. All right. Oh, I don't want to miss the one. I want to move this guy. And then rotate. And rotate. Oh, rotate. 180. There we go. Okay. Bring you up. Correct. Wrong. Correct. Wrong. Oh my gosh. Maybe I can do this. Let's see. Blah. 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 And then blah. Blah. And then now 1, 1, 1. Yes. Excellent. Cool. So what it is, I copy pasted this guy to make it right. I copied the values, the XYZ values of this one, and I pasted it in here. And actually, what I should have done is I should zero this guy out. Not that that matters. And zero this guy out. And then now remove this guy. 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 0. And now we can position them in the right place. 0, this guy out, rotate, rotate, and then move up on this side. Bring it back over. 180, 90, it did not work. 270 is right here. This is 90. 180, 270. What am I doing wrong? I need to rotate on the Z axis. There it is. Oh, 90 there. Okay. So it's like rotate really quickly. Fine. Okay, fine. All right, we're just gonna leave that how it is. And then we're gonna rename this to helper text 1 and helper text 2. All right. That was more complicated than it needed to be. Next time we're gonna make a widget. We're just gonna make a widget just like we did with other stuff and just put the widget there. Then we don't need to worry about scale. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you got some text, render text going. It doesn't look as funky as mine. Let's see. It's like rotated. And maybe. Okay, there we go. This one. Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I didn't see any thumbs up. Give me some thumbs up again. All right, Alex, ready. James, cool. All right, so the instructor is not ready. That's cool. All right, so let's go add some logic. Save all this. We'll go to our event graph. First thing we want is our helper text collision. Oh no, the first thing we want to do is get the player, our first person character pawn, right? That way we can, when the player hits the use button, we will know to do that. So the first thing we're gonna do is go begin play, event begin play. We are going to get actor of class. That actor is going to be our BP underscore first person character. And in order for this return value to work, you have to plug in the actor class first. So if you had problems with that, it's because you have to plug in this first before you can get a return value. So I'm gonna drag out from the return value pin and promote it to a variable. I'm gonna name that BP underscore first person character. I think that's what it is, right? BP first person character, yeah. And if you still are having issues with the setter, this variable, you can select it, go to the variable type and type in BP first person character. And it will find it, and that's what you want. It is an object reference. So I'll compile and save that. And I'll show you what I mean. So you don't have to do this part. I'm just going to show you what I mean. So get actor of class, and instead of plugging this in, I'm just going to say promote it to variable. I'll call this variable bacon. And if I look at this variable, the type is actor because I did not plug in the specific class. So now when I do this, it says it's okay because first person character is an actor, right? So then you're gonna have problems where you're like, well, I can't find get what is it, get interactive or something like that. I forget what we named it, right? Versus this guy will be able to find it. I forget what I named it, but hopefully you get the idea. But yeah, get overhead toss, right? See, like, how come I can't find get overhead toss here? And it's because this is an actor, and this is also an actor, but it's a specific actor, or specific class, and that's our first-person shooter pawn.
On that part of the set, I don't know why I'm not able to grab it. I have to get the actor part. It's just the second part, the set to BP first, right there.
So if that
What am I
happens,
missing?
so what's happening is, if that's not, you need to go into, if it's set to actor right here where it says variable type and it says actor.
Oh no, I don't even have that part. I don't even have that part.
You don't have
that part right there. Yeah,
you don't have this at all. So you just drag out from your return value and you say promote to variable.
That alone does it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool variables are in caps.
Okay.
With me?
Will there? Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll leave that alone for now. Compile, save. Now we're going to go to our, why don't this help us? Scene one, go away. Scene one, perfect. Compile, save. Okay, we're going to go to helper text collision. We're going to go to the details panel. We're going to go all the way to the bottom. Actually, let's make some collision changes. It's going to make it easier for us we don't have to always check to see if it's the pawn. So what we're going to do, I'm going to mute you, Rob, sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the collision category. We're going to say can generate overlaps. That's true. We needed to do that, right? So when the player overlaps, we need that to fire. Can the character step on? It doesn't really matter here, but we'll leave it as no. But here's our collision preset, and right now it's saying it overlaps everything. You know, when the ball shoots, when the player hits it, maybe a bird flies through, squirrels, who knows, right? We're going to change that to custom. And the collision box, we just want to query only, meaning that it's not going to stop the player in any way, but it is going to give us logic. Collision type, we can leave it as, I think we leave it as world dynamic, but let's change it to pawn, actually. Let's change it to pawn. And then we're going to ignore everything. So I clicked ignore everything. And that means that it's not going to check for visibility, the camera. It's not going to check anything. It's just going to ignore them all. The only one we want it to do something with is pawn. So we're going to say overlap pawn. And now we don't necessarily have to have that. Hey, is it the actor? Is it the pawn? Because we only can check for the pawn. Nice. See, that's why I was so Madison said, hey, that's why I couldn't get my door to open. I didn't have this correct. I didn't have it as query only. If you have it as no collision, then nothing will happen. If you have it as query only, then it will allow us to do ray traces and overlaps and stuff like that. and give us logic. If physics only means that it'll just block the player, right? So the player can't go through it, but it won't give us any ability to do logic with it when a player hits it with like a line trace. And then of course, collision enabled is both of them. In our case, though, we just need query only for that helper text collision. Okay, so with that set, we will go and click on component begin overlap. And we'll also do the on and overlap. Of course, we are not going to need that right now. So we'll move that one out of the way. And I'm going to grab this begin overlap. So the player overlaps the collision. Then what do we want to do? We want to change the helper text. So let's grab helper text 1. We're going to assume that helper text 1 is the quote unquote front of the door, right? And as a matter of fact, I'm going to change this to say front of door. You don't need to do this, but you can if you want. And all it does is like, right, put front of door, big caps for us. This will get changed by logic, so the player will never see this front of door. And this is back door, top secret back door. Got to have the hacker code to get in, right? Piano notes. Anyway, so the front of the door, and what do we need? We want to set the text. So we're going to do, I grabbed the helper text 1, and then we want to set text, this one right here. And we need to connect our execution node to set the text, and then we need to give it a value. What I'm going to do, oops, I have these extra ones when I was talking to you guys. What I'm going to do is I could technically come out here and promote this to a variable, right? And that's going to make a text variable for us, which is cool. But let's do something a little bit different. We're going to go to my blueprint panel. We're going to go to the variables category. We're going to click on this little plus variable right here on the right-hand side. We're going to create a new variable, and we're going to call this helper text string. And that is very, very verbose because keywords text and string are already like keywords in code.
I think you made that a reference to the BP first person character.
I did. We're going to change it to a string.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to change it to string. So Hayden's on the ball. So you can either click on this guy and change it to string, right, the little icon, or you can go select it and go to variable type and change it to string up here in the details panel. So then I'm going to, we're going to set our string, and actually we're going to do it before we set the helper text. And we can do a couple things with this string. What we can do is we can, type stuff, hit shift and enter to type multiple lines, right? We could do that. Or we can do something a little bit cooler. We can do what's called an append. So I'm going to type append coming out from the front of our setter. And what append does is it gets multiple strings and puts them together for us. So think of it as like having multiple sentences, and then you put them together to make paragraphs. And I don't know exactly what I want to write here yet, but maybe we're going to say, get closer. And maybe we also say, oh, actually, I need a space. We can do shift enter, and then we'll do, so it'll be maybe it's just Oh, if they're overlapping, they're actually hitting it. Sorry, they're hitting it. So it's like, look at the doorknob. Look at doorknob. And shift enter, and then this will be press use key. Or then press use key. Maybe it needs to be Alt S and it's press use key. If we had a multiplayer game, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. But if we had a multiplayer game, we could get the player, and we could get their player name. So we'll do display name, and then we could connect it like this. And then what would happen? Obviously, we would have the Boolean of the player name. This is not going to work exactly the way we want it to, but then we could say like, you know, hey, Alex, look at the doorknob, then press the use key to open the door, right? So that's how that would work. Get rid of that. And if you have an extra pen, you can just right click it, say remove. Then we can connect our helper string text string, whatever, it's super verbose, because those are like already identified names in code, right? There's the variables called, there are variables called variable types called text and variable called string, and then I just made a variable called helper text string. Okay, so that should be good. Let's just test that. So when I get close enough, the player gets close enough, it should say look at the doorknob, then press the use key, and it should set that value for us. So we'll get closer, the doorknob, then press use key. Cool. I think it's a little, the text is too big, right? For me, the text is too big. So let's go a little bit further. We'll leave this set text. That's cool. Let's grab our helper text again. Helper text 1. I think I can do size, maybe size. Get local text size, set world size. I think that'll work for me. Let's see. Yeah, set world size. That's what we want. Right now it's at 26. So I'm in the details panel, text, world size. It's at 26. So let's change it to half of that and see what happens. So half of 26 is about 13. And then we'll hit play again. And see, now it's much smaller. The other thing too is I think it'll look better if it's left aligned instead of center aligned. So I have a center aligned, right? So let's change that. Make it look cool. So I'm actually going to go and where we have here horizontal alignment, I'm going to change that to left. And then I'm going to go to the viewport. I'm probably going to have to adjust stuff. Oh no, I guess it's okay. So it'll be left aligned right here. So let's go ahead and hit play and see how that looks. Yeah, so I think I'm actually going to push it over just a little bit more. So it's kind of like part of the door. So let's grab the helper text, adjust it. So that's part of the door, or more in line with the door itself. Yeah, that looks cool, right? And then I press the use key, that's happening. Why? It doesn't work. Okay, it's fine. And actually, I'm going to move this out of the player. And we will save all. That looks good. Okay, so logic, then graph, one of these. The other thing we need to do is we need to reset the size. So let's see, we save the message. I don't know if this is actually, let's break it. This actually is not going to work. This is not going to work. We're going to do it anyway, so you can see it's not going to work. See, the size is huge because the last thing I did was make the size back to being normal. But what I really want to do is once they leave, we'll set it back to big or maybe not. I don't know. We actually could probably adjust the size of what we need when they leave. So cool. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. the doorknob, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now what we need to do is set up a timer, right? Event handler, event timer handler, time handler. What is it called? So like,
Timer by event.
yeah, timer by event. That's what it is. Thank you. Set timer by event. Thank you. Yep. And then what we'll do is we can check every hundredth of a second. It's going to loop. We are going to promote it to a variable. So let's promote it to a variable. We're going to call this doorknob one timer at event. And then we'll come out of our event and we're going to say create events. And we will create a matching event. And bring it closer to this guy so we can mess with it. I'm going to rename this to doorknob one custom event. And then I got to fix this guy, doorknob one custom event, so they match. File and save. And then first person character. And I forget what I named it. So let me go to my first person character. Is the player grabbing in our cube? Oh no, do I not have a use key? Do we not make a use key? I thought we did.
No, that was in the light bulb. I actually had to make a new use key for my character
Okay.
when I made
Yeah,
the door.
same.
Okay, good call, good call. So let's go to our project settings. So if you don't know how to go to project settings, you go to MidTerm, edit, project settings. We're going to go to input. We're going to add a new action mapping. So under the bindings category, action mapping, we're going to hit this plus symbol. It's going to create a new action map for us. And we'll say use key. And then we will bind it to, I have reset the art can go away. Okay, cool. So we'll bind it to the F key. And then I can go into my first person character and I can say, we just need some space to build stuff. So I'll go down here where there's nothing going on. I'll do use key and it'll create that action input for us. And then we also need to create a variable. So in my blueprints panel on the left, variables category, I click that plus symbol. And we're going to say is use key pressed. And then we can just say when they're pressing the key that yes, it is being pressed. And when they're not pressing the key, it is not being pressed. All right, give me some thumbs up if you're with me. Thumbs down if you're completely lost.
I'm not sure which one. I have two first persons and I don't think that either one is correct.
You should be using the BP underscore first person character. It should be the one inside your blueprints folder and not the one inside first person BP. This one right here is wrong. That I have selected currently is wrong, and the blueprints one is the correct one. This one is wrong.
But
And
let me see here. I think I downloaded this one, but that wasn't on this version of it. Like I've been altering, like I had it on another version, but I think when I downloaded it, it didn't have the same naming convention. It has first person BP though, but I don't know if that's correct.
so what you can do too is if you're not sure if it's right, you can hover over it and it'll tell you where it's located. So you can see right now mine's in game /blueprints.
Okay, I was able to find it, and then it's under when you're setting the key, it's under just set use key, or was it?
Yeah, I just created a variable, a Boolean variable called is use key press.
But for the input action, it's input action.
Oh, so that's the project settings, and I just named it use key. You can name it whatever you want.
Right, but how are you pulling that?
Then I went and right clicked anywhere in the event graph of our first character blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And I typed in use key,
Right.
and you can see that it comes up as the action event.
Oh, it just gives it. Okay. I have to get used to how to call for each one. Okay. And then you have set variable or promote to variable.
I didn't promote anything.
You just made a variable.
I just made a Boolean. That's correct.
Okay, I think that works.
Cool. All right, so let's go back to our door. Did I close the door? Where's the door? Here's the door. And now we should be able to go is use key pressed. We're going to get the getter. And then from there, we can do a branch. And then what we want to do is if the use key is pressed, we're going to turn the timer off because we don't want them to like press it multiple times, or actually they won't be pressing it multiple times. They'll hold the key down. And while they're holding the key down, we're firing the event every 100th of a second, right? So it'll be like they're pressing the key multiple times. And what will end up happening is our door will be like swing, 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 swing. And we don't want that, right? We want it to just swing open only one time. So we're going to end the timer if it's true that they did press it. So I'm going to grab the doorknob timer event. And we're going to say clear and invalidate. And that will stop our timer from firing anymore. It'll just fire one time from that point on. And then what do we want to do? Let's also, let's see. I kind of want to make this a function because I want to set the text as well. So I think I might actually make this a function, and then we'll be able to call that function over here. So let's do that. Because right here, I want to say, I'm just typing now. So I want to say something to the player, right? Something along the lines of like, yes, you've opened the door, congratulations. And later, there will be another check here, another branch with the same sort of condition. But this condition will be, is the door unlocked? Right, and if it is, then we'll allow them to press the use key and blah blah blah. If it's not, then we give them. Then we have to say something to the player again, right? So we're going to say something here. Yay, the door is unlocked. Congratulations. Or no, the door is not unlocked. You suck. Go get good. Get good. Jeez, God, man, you suck. Or whatever. What we want to do, let's make this into the function, so we don't have to keep copying these three nodes over and over. So I'm going to grab all three of these guys. We're going to right click any of the nodes. If I right click not the node, then it's going to complain. So hover over one of the nodes, right click, and then you should get this context menu where it says collapse to function. And go ahead and do that. And let's name this function set helper text value. And then we're going to go into that function. So I'm going to double click the node. And I know I have this append with all this cool stuff on it. I'm just going to disconnect that. And I also know that this helper text one. I'm going to disconnect those guys. And let's go ahead and drag from our helper text string pin, this guy right here, we're going to drag it onto our set helper text value input node. And when I do, you can see it says add pin to node. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm also going to drag this target where it says target self from this world size. I'm going to drag that guy. I'm going to add it to our input node as well. Okay. So we need to make some changes. First thing we need to do, this helper text string getter, this guy, we can delete that. This setter, we can delete that as well. We don't need those. These help text one, we can get rid of those. In our blueprints, where we created this very verbose text string variable that's a string, we can delete that as well. Go away. All those go away. And the reason they all going to go away is because when we add it to our thing, we can just type in our string here, blah, 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 blah. And then the target will be our helper text itself, which I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. But that's the idea, right? And then we can call that this multiple times. I can call it over here. I can call it for, no, you don't have the doorknob. Yes, you do. Or the door's locked, door's unlocked, blah, 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 blah. And we can just set the text one time for each of those. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let's see, helper text string. Let's promote this to a variable, but we're actually going to promote it to a local variable. So I'm dragging out from this helper text string. We're going to promote that to a local variable. And so a local variable is only a variable only inside this particular function. It is not part of the entire class. And so we're going to name it local helper text value. We'll say that. And then I'm also going to drag out from the target or promote that to variable. This will be local helper text. Just like that. Then I'm going to select our input node. I'm going to go to the details panel, and I'm going to change this to say helper text value for the input of the string. And instead of saying target, I'm going to say helper text. And now when we use it, it makes more sense, right? What is the value and which helper text we're using? Then we can just connect our input nodes to our set world size and our string. So if we go to our My Blueprints, we have our local variables here. I can grab the helper, local helper text value, you can go into that one, and our local helper text can go into the target there and into this target over here. Oops. Trying to make it big enough so you guys can see it.
Do we actually need these local variables in this instance?
You do not. You do
okay.
not. You do not. I'm showing you that you can do that. But you're right, you don't. I could totally drag this pink one all the way to there, and that would be exactly the same thing. And I could drag this helper text to the target and another noodle to the other target, right? this looks a little bit cleaner, and when you have a lot of nodes, it is advisable to actually set local variables first, and then call those local variables when you need them. Just grab. There we go. Okay, so this append we can get rid of. Wanted to show you that to you too, but I guess it's not necessary. Now we can go to the event. Actually, let me, before I move this way, give me some thumbs up. Make sure I'm not going too fast. Cool, Alex with me, Aiden, Madison, great.
It's pretty
Okay,
fast,
cool,
but I got it.
awesome, good. So now we can go over here to this helper text value that we created, and yours probably looks like this. And we can say helper text. We want it to be what did I say? Look at doorknob, shift enter, press the use key to open the door. And then what helper text is going to be helper text 1. Connection. Good. Let's make sure that we didn't break anything. We'll hit play again. Perfect.
How are you getting it to go to the next line? Am I missing something? I'm hitting enter and it just knocks me out.
It's got to be shift plus enter. So
Oh, shift enter. Okay.
Shift enter equals new line.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now I'm just going to copy these because I know that I'm still working with helper text 1 as my text. And I am going to, or my render text, sorry, I'm going to paste it at the end of our little line that we have going on over here. And this is going to be door is opening. So now, let's make sure that works. Get close. And I look at the doorknob and it works, right? So if I, oh, it's allowing me to do it anywhere. Oh, okay, that's a problem. And the problem is that we need to make it so that they're doing a doorknob collision. Right now, it's just doing it in general. This is in general, right? So like the general area, basically, in general area. And what we really want is this guy, the doorknob collision. So let's see. Man, we might have to do a line trace. Might actually be better to do a line trace. Yeah, let's do a line trace. Let's do it that way. So we'll actually, let me get rid of this comment I just made. And we are going to drag out from here. And then we're going to have another branch. And this one is going to be, is player looking at the doorknob? All right. And then this one, of course, is like, is player pressing use key? So like all these conditions have to be met. In order for the door to be opened. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let's go to our doorknob collision in our components category. This guy right here. We'll go to the details panel. And right now it's set to overlap all dynamic. We'll change that to custom. Character step on no. Query only. We'll leave it at world dynamic. Ignore all. except for, probably should make another trace channel. That's okay. What we'll do is we'll say world dynamic. So overlap world dynamic. This is not going to work exactly the way we want it to, but that's okay. So world dynamic, we'll leave it like that. We're going to do the same thing for doorknob collision 2 as well. So when we select doorknob collision 2, custom, world dynamic, ignore everything except for world dynamic. File and save. And then we need to go into our character blueprints. This guy right here, actually break this, one of these, one of those, there we go. Okay, so our character blueprint. So now what we want to do is we want to make another sort of line trace. So this line trace is line tracing for objects. I think I might be able to get away with line tracing for objects. I might. So what I really want to do is make another channel or another object type. And then we can line trace for that. So we could do like doorknob object type. So let's do that. Let's do it. It's fine. So what we want to do, let's go to our project settings again. And we want to go to, where is it at? Collision. I want to go to collision. Now I always forget if it's object type or trace channels. I think I want to do a new object channel. So go ahead and hit new object channel. And again, I'm in the collision category under engine collision. Object channels, new object channel over here on the right. We're going to name this doorknob. And its default response is going to be overlap. All right, give me a thumbs up if you got that, because that's kind of hard to find. All right, cool. Okay, so then now we can go back to our musical door. We can go to our doorknob collision. And right here, it's object type. We can change it to doorknob, and the overlap is going to be not world dynamic, but it will be doorknob. See that? So doorknob here and overlap type doorknob. We'll do the same thing for the other one. Doorknob. Doorknob. World dynamic is ignore, but doorknob is yes. Overlap. File and save. All right, we got that, then we can move on. So let's go back to our first person character. And we can do a couple of things here. The first thing we can do is we could totally always be doing a line trace, if that makes sense, every single frame. And we could just say, hey, are they looking at a particular object? And if they are, then fire off logic, right? So we could do that every frame. And a line trace for objects is very, very low as far as like cost for performance. So we could totally do that. And that would be on our event tick, is what I'm saying, right? So every single frame we'd say, you know, trace for a particular object. It's probably one of the better ways to handle this. The other thing we could do is we could say when they press the use key, then we start line tracing, right? So they're holding down the use key. Are they looking at the door at the same time? As I'm thinking about that though, maybe it'd be better to do the event tick. there could be chances where the player is like looking at the door, or you know what I mean? Let's see, like, so what I mean by that. So if I'm like, have the door image here to the side, let me take a screenshot here. And, you know, the player is sort of like looking at the door, but not the doorknob, and they press the use key. They don't hold it, but they just press it. We don't give them credit, right? And so it'd be confusing, and they're going to be like, not exactly looking at the doorknob collision, and they press it and it still doesn't activate. You know, they're like looking this way, they press the use key, it's still not working. Finally, they look at the doorknob and it works. That could be kind of confusing. It could also happen with the event tick, but at least with the event tick, we're checking every single frame, right? So it's like 120 times a second to check versus only checking once when they press the key. Of course, we could, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, actually, we could have a timer on that too, right? We could check every 100th of a second to see if they are looking at the doorknob. So we could do that too. Actually, that might be better. I mean, I don't know why I care about performance that much. That's just detrimental. It doesn't matter that much. So let's just put it on event tick and we'll call it a day. So let's go to our first person character. We'll go to our event tick. We have this like set location, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. We're going to come out from there and we're going to do trace for objects or something like that. Trace for objects. Line trace for objects, this one right here. I totally have to sneeze. I have like this, like, you know, like I don't want people to know that I have COVID, kind of like holding in the sneeze, because if they do, they're going to be like, heretic, you know, he's got the COVIDs, get him. So I don't want to sneeze, but I feel like it's coming on. I apologize.
So quick question, could we piggyback off of the line trace we're already doing by adding the doorknob object type to our object type array?
We could. And see, this is sort of what we were doing before, where we're saying when I press the mouse button down, that I start looking for, you know, objects, or sorry, for physical objects, right? Physical objects. But that's for holding the mouse button down and not necessarily pressing the use key.
Right. Yeah.
So, but the logic is the same, right? We totally could grab all of this already and copy it. But I was going to do it again because it's good to practice. And you know, this would go to the end and this would go to the start. That's how we would do it. But let's do it again. Actually, we'll disconnect these guys and I'm gonna bring this right here, or pretend like I'm not looking at that because I didn't know. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our first person camera. And the idea is that the first person camera is the start position of our laser beam or our line trace. And then how far out do we want to go? And that will be we can use this grab distance. Maybe we might need to relabel this variable to something like line trace distance. So we can do that now since I'm talking about it. So line trace distance. And I just hit F2 to rename it. All right, so first person camera, we need to get its world location, get world location. That's going to be our start position. Then we need to get the forward vector. So forward vector. This is like a line all the way to infinity of where the camera is looking forward. Let me make sure I'm doing that right. Yeah. And then we're going to times that. Oops, wrong button. Times it by a float. And that float is going to be our line trace distance, which I think is set to 500. And then we're going to add that to our world location like this. And so what that does is it says, look out, like, let's do this. Just so you guys understand, because there's a forward vector, there's an up vector, and there's a right vector. But what we're saying is we're going to start right here at the camera, right? Then I'm going to draw an imaginary line 500 centimeters out in front of the camera. And then I want you to give me that position, whatever that is. And that's what this is. That's what this one is, right? So we're adding up the current position plus the forward vector at 500 centimeters forward. And we're making that our end position. Make sense? We don't need a trace for complex because it's still just a cube. But object types, we're going to promote that to variable. And we're going to rename this object types. We're going to say doorknobs. And we'll compile, and we're looking for a doorknob. So I did that in the details panel of the doorknobs variable that I just created. You did float plus, oh, sorry. What did you do to get the return value of the forward vector? I did a vector times float. So I do times vector times float, this one right here.
I'm still having issues like tying that in though. I've got everything here. I've got the first person camera that you're pulling off of. I've got the other two. I'm just not able to find line trace distance.
So
You
line trace,
said you renamed it, right?
It was originally grab distance.
Oh, okay, okay.
If you don't have it, you can also type in 500 here.
I'm just renaming it so I can stay on track with you.
It's cool. Actually, I'm going to move all these guys a little bit this way. And I'm going to go, we need a little bit more space. More space. The problem with blueprints.
I still can't get it to plug into the plus. I don't know why. I only see float, integer, and
so if you come out from the vector, from the return value, and you do type in plus, you should have vector plus vector.
Right. But that still gives me a, oh, I guess it gives me a different display, but it's just the Y and Z. Okay. Mine just didn't look like that. Okay. And okay. All right, I got that one. The only thing I have issue now is like with the, not with this one, but with the other side. I think there was an issue with one of your blueprints you were pulling out on the door. That was, what was it? You went really fast. I missed it. It was what is it? Right there. You're under press key. It's the player pressing the key. I'm not sure how you got the target is use key pressed and then BP first person tie-in. That's not a thing for me.
Cool. So at the very beginning, we did an event begin play, get actor of class, and then we created this first person blueprint as a reference, and we made a setter. Remember, we had the discussion about like, hey,
I had that.
Okay, so if you have that, it should be a variable in your blueprints called BP first person character. And then you're going to drag up from there. And then you should already have in your first person character, a input action use key with a Boolean value. Okay,
right. So then, I have that, yeah.
So then you just drag out from first person character is use key press, and there it is.
Okay, as the Boolean. Okay, that was what I was missing, because I was like, what am I missing here? Okay, that was it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Let's save everything if you haven't already. Okay, so now if this is true, so we're going to come out. Actually, we don't even need to do it that way. Let's make another variable. And we're going to call this player is looking at doorknob. And then we can just set it like this. Sorry, I had the wrong one on my book. Oh, all right, you guys are good. Okay, so let's, for testing purposes, we're going to draw the debug persistently. So draw debug type, set it to persistent. We're just testing stuff. Another thing we'll do is we'll come out here, we'll do a print string. And we'll do that append I was talking about before. And we could say the player is, and then we'll say, plug this in right here. So I did the Boolean to the RB. So the player is true or false, right? That's what it's going to say. Player is looking, actually say looking at doorknob. We can do it. We can even say this is the player looking at the doorknob.
What was that one between that you're the one between? Yeah, what's that?
This one. So
Yeah.
all you have to do is drag from the Boolean to the string and it will automatically convert for you.
Okay.
And let's also adjust the string too. I'll change the color to something pretty and then maybe give the timer like 50 seconds so we can actually read it. And this is just for testing. Testing. 1, 2. Mic check. This is thing on. And so this is actually going to fire. Actually, no, we need to change this to 1 second. Sorry. It's going to fire all the time. It's going to fire every frame. So 1 second is fine, plenty of time. Save. And now we'll go ahead and hit play and we'll look. We can say, see, I'm not looking at it. You can see my persistent laser beam. It's firing every single frame. And then when I look at the doorknob, I'm getting true. You see that? False, true. So every time I try to make an append and connect it, always makes the array. So I'm kind of lost. Those line traces hurt my eyes, right? I agree. So we know that it works. So what we'll do is we'll turn off the debug, draw debug. We can turn that off. And we can also disconnect this testing stuff and just delete it.
I'm getting a bug on the doorknobs that's saying it can't parse the doorknob variable for the line trace object.
Okay, so in the object types, do you have it set to doorknob right here in the default
No, I
category?
do not. Thank you. That'll do it.
Cool. All right, so now we can go back to our musical door and we can grab our first person character again. And we're looking for, is the player looking at the doorknob? So player looking at doorknob. And we can connect that guy right there. And so if they are looking at the doorknob and they press the use key, then we'll let them open the door. So let's see if that works. Oops, wrong button. Play. So I'm not looking at the doorknob, not looking at the doorknob, use key does not work. Look at the doorknob, use key, door is opening. No problem, Matt. Sounds good, man. What time is it? We got 8 o'clock. Okay, cool. Got 20 more minutes. Okay, let me put this back up here so you guys can see what I did. And this is in the musical door. We haven't even got to opening the door yet. We're just basically giving player feedback and locking the player out from being able to open the door unless they're doing the right thing. I can see the doorknob variable plugged into object types. I'm trying to get it to work still. I can see the doorknobs variable plugged into. Can I? Oh, can I see? Sorry. Learn to read, John. Okay. So all I did was create a variable, you know, name it whatever I want to name it. I have to compile, select that variable, and then add array elements to it. And the one we want is doorknob. We don't need any of the others. This doorknob. Cool. Okay. So is the door unlocked? Is the player looking at the doorknob? Is the player pressing the use key? Cool, cool, cool. Then we say the door is opening. So now we need to get the door hinge. So let's get the door hinge. We need to get world rotation. Oh, we're also missing a time event, but that's okay. Let's talk about this first. So we're going to break rotator. And the hinge, if we go to our viewport, we look at the hinge itself. The hinge, we want to rotate on the Z. See the blue right here? We want to rotate on that Z axis. See, I'm grabbing the blue. That's what we want to rotate on. So we're going to get its current rotation in the world, whatever that is. So if the door is, let me actually go to here in the world viewer. If the door is rotated like this, I will still be able to rotate the opening of the door correctly, no matter how wonky the door is rotated, because we're going to get its position first, or its rotation first, and then add in some rotation to open the door. So where was that? One of these, couple of these, okay. So then we're going to come out of this again. It's fine. We're going to do set world rotation, and I think it's set. It might be add. I forget if it's set or add. So we're going to try both. So we'll come out of here and do add world rotation. It's one of these two. And we can do one of two things. We can come out of here and we can say make rotator, right? Or we can split this guy like that. Doesn't matter. I personally like the make rotator, and this one come out and make rotator. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but we definitely know that the X and the Y are correct, right? It's just that the Z that we'll be adding to whatever that is. So this guy right here is where we're going to have to change. All right. So again, I'm not sure if it's this one. Let me disconnect these guys so I'm not confusing you. We're going to move that out of the way. We're going to try our setter first. And we'll bring this like this so it's prettier. So important. It's got to look good. Spaghetti's got to be good, guys. All right, cool. All right, so now what we need to do is we'll move this out of the way. We need something in between here. And what we're going to do is a, what is it called? Timeline, I think it's called. Yeah, add timeline. And so this is a new thing. We can just leave the name timeline 0, it doesn't matter. But what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to sort of animate the door opening and closing. So when they press the doorknob, we actually don't want to play from play. We want to play from start. Isn't it like relative rotation? It could be relative rotation as well. It could be. We could totally do that because the relative rotation is zeroed. So we could actually do it that way too. So that actually might even be better. So it could be set relative location. All right. Before we get into that though, let's do this timeline. It's good. It's good. Good thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click this node. It's going to bring us to like this new looking thing. And then we can create a different tracks. So we have a float track, vector, vent track, and of course a color track. What we're going to do is we're going to do a float track. And then it's going to allow us to name that track. So right now it says new track. What we're going to do is this going to be a door animation.
Hang on, how'd you get into that?
So I just double clicked the timeline that I created, just double click it and
Okay,
it allows us to open it up. If you messed up your naming,
I'm sorry, real quick, where did you attach the timeline to?
I haven't attached it to anything yet. I haven't,
Well, no, I mean, where is it coming from? Because I don't know where that is on the graphs.
you just right click anywhere and type in timeline.
No, I mean the helper text value that it's coming from. Where is that in the?
This one right here,
Yeah.
this is the function we created earlier.
I think he's asking about its location on the event graph.
Yeah, what is it attached to? What's that? What's that?
Sorry. So this is, we're still part of the doorknob. So doorknob event timer. So like,
Okay, I didn't know where the where it was coming from at all.
I got you. I got you. So yeah, so this is like, now we've done kind of all the checkers to see, is it unlocked? They are looking at the doorknob. Did they press the key? Cool. All these are true. All must be true. Then now we can say, okay, start the logic of opening the door. And the first thing we're going to do is say, stop checking anymore, because we don't need to check anymore. Give player feedback. And then we're going to animate the door. So if your name is wrong right here, well, I'm in the timeline again. If your name is wrong, you can just right click and say rename, or you can press F2. And it's going to be door animation. And then what we're going to do is we're going to
Is a float track?
Float track, yes, float
Okay,
track.
good.
Good question. And then we're going to hold down Shift, and we're going to add click in our float track to add these. I guess they're keyframes. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. Curve float 0, curve float 1, probably. Oh, curve float 0. Okay, whatever. They look like keyframes to me. So you just need 2 of them. And of course, if you add too many, you have like a billion of them, right? No big deal. You can select them, right click and delete. Or what is it? No, you have to actually hit the delete key. So with the first one selected, I have these 2 text nodes I can fill in, time and value. With the first one selected, I'm going to say 0 and 0. And with the second one selected, I'm going to say, right now it's set to 5 seconds. That's a pretty long time to open a door. Like think about it, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. That's a long time for a door to open. Maybe we want it to be that dramatic, right? Like you figured out the puzzle, you know, like horror game or something, but maybe not. So I'm going to lower mine to like 2 seconds, like 1001, 1002, the door is open. So right here under length, I'm going to change that to 2 seconds. And then on my timer for the second keyframe here, I'm going to say 2 seconds. And my value is going to be 90. And this is going to open the door 90 degrees, right? Basically perpendicular. Now, when I type that in, you'll notice that I only see 1 keyframe now. The other one is gone. It's like off screen. Yeah. So you can actually hit these 2 buttons. And what it'll do is it will shrink the float track for you so that you can see all of the keyframes you've added. So now I can see the first one, and over here is my second one. All right, we'll compile and save. And then if I go back to my event graph, I have this door animation float track float pen coming out now, right? Because we created it. And I can add that right there. This is going to play for 2 seconds. It's going to add 90 to the Z value. We're going to go to update. And I think James is right about the relative rotation. I think that's actually the right way to do it. But let's do it the wrong way first. Let's do it my way and see what happens. Make it explode. It'll be fun. And then I'll eat some humble pie and be like, James is right. He's the master. He's the teacher now. He's going to teach you guys the rest of the class. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if that works. We're going to test it out here. I'm looking at the door, hit the key. Whoa! It's perfect, guys. Ship it.
Personally, I like it. I, for one, have always wanted to be brained by a door moving at Mach 9.
Okay, let's try.
I mean, it does shake things loose in your head, right?
Let's try, James.
Mine doesn't even open. It just sits there.
You have set world rotation and you have it this plus symbol and all that?
Yep.
And you have it connected to update or to finish? It has to be on update.
It's on update.
Okay. Well, we'll have to look at that in a second. Let's see if relative rotation works. No, that doesn't work either. It needs to be, I think it needs to be add. Let's see, let's try add relative rotation. Oops. No, that's not it either. What did I do differently? All right. Maybe it's add world rotation. I always forget which one of these it is. None of them. It's none of them. I fail completely. All right, let's stick with set relative rotation. Let's see what we have wrong here.
I'm noticing that it spins for the full 2 seconds. So I'm wondering if it's not adding the 90 degrees every frame of the animation or something.
So what we'll do is we'll do a print string and we'll see what the value is coming in. So you can see it's I'll do it again. It's starting at 0 and then it's slowly adding. But I think what the problem is that it's going, like, let's say it's going 1, then it's adding 2 and then adding 3. I think that's not going to work the way I want it to. What we could do instead is we could, instead of 90, adding 90, we could say add maybe add 1 or something like that. We could do like 1. That might not work out the way I want it to. Nope. What do we need to do here? Let's see. We're getting the world rotation, getting the Z value, whatever that is. Oh, let's try it this way. Get relative rotation. That'll work better actually. And then we can break it here. And then this can be 90 still, which I think it is. No, it's 2. Let's change it to 90. Oops, no, 2 here and 90 there. And so now it'll be 0, then we add 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 blah over time. Oh, it's so close. Let's see. Maybe I don't want to add, because I'm going to do 1 and then 2 and then so on and so forth. What could I do instead of add? Maybe I just go right into it and say Z like that. No adding at all. Maybe I don't even need to get the relative location because it's already rotated. Oh, it's amazing. Cool.
Oh. Oh, okay.
All right. Cool. That'll work out actually. So what do we need? We don't need this either. Actually, yeah, we'll plug these in. Plug this in. We do need to get this guy. That'll work. And then we're going to need to make another check to see if the door is already opened. So Alex, is yours looking like this right now? I think it was Alex that had an issue, right?
Yeah, no, I'm playing catch up right now.
Okay. All right, guys, give me a thumbs up when you're good. Dan, give me a thumbs down. Okay.
I've noticed that you can't interact with the door again until you've left and then re-entered the collision box of the whole door.
Yeah, that's intentional because we're turning off the timer for checking to see if you can interact with the door, right?
Yeah,
So
I figured that's what's causing it, but I wasn't sure if that was an intended feature or.
because what'll happen is this is what's going to happen. The door opens, and then I walk away and see. You see what I'm saying? So we're actually going to need to actually create another Boolean value to say, is the door open already? And if it is, then don't open the door again, right? Close the door. I think James created a flip flop, which is a good idea too. But I want to create a Boolean value so the player walks away, and they come back. They still can't open the door again because the door is already open. We want them to close the door. Okay, so I got 7 minutes. I assume that you guys have all this. What we're going to do is we're going to do this set helper text again function that we created, and we're going to go to where it's finished. We're going to say the door is now open. Enter. Maybe we'll say even say enter at your own risk. Whatever you want to say, it doesn't matter. We're just giving feedback to the player to say, yep, the door is open. Congratulations, you've done it. We also should create a Boolean, just like you were talking about, Hayden. So we're going to go to my blueprints, a variable. We're going to create it and say, is door open? And we're going to change the variable type from string to a Boolean, compile, and we're going to do a yes right here. And then we need to do another checker. So is the door unlocked? Is the player looking at the doorknob? Is the key pressed? We need another branch right here. And this one is going to be, is the door open? And this one actually needs to be false, right? So the door is opened, then do nothing. But if the door is closed, then continue on. And we're saying the door is open right here. So now I'll let you look at that in a second. We're gonna test it. So opening the door, door's open. The door is not open, enter at your own risk. And if I walk away, come back, I can't interact with the door anymore, even if I'm looking at it. Right, because the door is already open. All right, so let me go back to that blueprint, show you what it looks like. All I did was create a variable, added the true value right here at the finished. Saying that yes, the door is opened. And then I added another Boolean value at the beginning and added in that bool to check to see, is it open? And we want it to be set to, we want the logic to continue if it's false. All right, what are your questions? Actually, before we do the question stuff, let me end the stream.